Ignitz's corner, beyond Bent. Jansen! And Blackburn Rovers are 18 minutes away from a Premiership return.
As far as Stewart, just outside the penalty area, flips it central for David Dunn. David Dunn equalises. It just had to be. Dack's corner and it goes. Glance towards goal, and Rovers have taken the lead. And Charlie Mulgrew has scored his 14th of the season. It may well be the goal that sends Rovers back into the Championship.
Good evening, Rovers fans, and welcome back to a very special bank holiday live stream as we take a look back and celebrate 20 years since promotion back to the Premier League in the 2000-2001 season. I'm Ryan Hildred, and as you can see, I'm both honoured and really delighted to be joined by three members of that promotion-winning team this evening. And I'm going to introduce them in squad number order, which means we're going to start with John Curtis first, down in the bottom right. Here's you, John, in your heyday at Blackburn Rovers. We'll take that one off just there. How are you doing, John, and what have you been up to since leaving Rovers and football in general?
I'm very well, thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me. I feel very old, 20 years. It's gone incredibly fast. So, I'm over in America now. So apologies if there's any kind of delay or anything like that. But, yeah, I'm working in the States. Still in football, though, which is nice.
Excellent. Really pleased that you've given up your time tonight, John. I know you're still working and things. So thank you. Thanks ever so much. And then we're going to go to number 6, and that was centre-back Craig Short. Craig, down in the bottom left there. How's life treating you, Craig?
It's pretty good, thanks. Thanks for having me on. Nice to see the two lads there as well. Like John said, it's flown by. It seems 5 minutes ago. I think the first part of lockdown last year, there was a few little podcasts about that team, and it's nice to hook up again with you all. Yeah, I'm down in Oxfordshire. I'm working with Carl Robinson at Oxford United, so I've been doing that for a year. So still in the game.
Brilliant. And here's a picture of you in your heyday. There we go. There's Craig Short in that season for Rovers, or it's the season after, I think. Here we go. And then last but not least, 113 goals for 14 different clubs. But the 11 goals that he got in 34 games that season, including at Turf Moor, a really, really great contribution. And it's our number 17, Marcus Bent. Here's Marcus in his heyday as well. How are you doing, Marcus?
Looking at that, it makes me feel old still. I mean, again, you look at these pictures, and now at the minute, my mind tells my body to do something, but it just doesn't work. I mean, time flies. It's good to see two of my teammates that I haven't seen in ages. It makes me smile. It's amazing. Kurt in America doing well for himself, and Shorty, which is someone who I looked up to and helped me through my transition coming from London to up north, and being amongst some legendary players at that point and getting promoted. So it's nice to see their faces and their smiles, and that they're doing okay.
Brilliant. Thanks, Marcus. Really kind words there. Rovers fans tuning in tonight, please do get your comments and questions into the show. I'll pick them up as we go through as best as I can. And we'll be live for about an hour because I need to let us all go off and watch that Line of Duty finale that is tonight. So I won't be taking too much of people's time tonight. But just a couple of quick reminders for everyone. As we usually say, we are sponsored by Blue Rose Capital, and we are also sponsored by 6yardsout.com.
The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.
Thank you to our very kind sponsors, Blue Rose Capital and 6yardsout.com. So let's get cracking with this chat. I've really been looking forward to this all day. For me, the three of you this season, for me, was the first real feeling I had of proper joy and emotion that I could understand, because I was only 8 when Rovers won the league in 1995. And I think as an 8-year-old, you kind of got a different perspective of football. But I certainly remember the pain of relegation in 1999. but absolutely loved the joy of this promotion season. And it really just set off a wonderful 10-year period for the club. Craig, I'm going to start with you because you were at the club the season before this one. And Rovers made some really great signings, you know, Marcus and John, two of them, and famously Brad Friedel, of course, as well within the season. We came 11th the season before. So what was the vibe like going into this season? And were you confident of promotion?
I think the season before we got a real shock. You know, we really struggled. And unfortunately, Brian, who signed me, lost his job. I think a lot of the players would admit then in that season that we didn't perform to our full potential. With Graham coming in, for me, it was very special because I was a Liverpool fan as a kid and he was a boyhood hero of mine. So, you know, I didn't realise it was going to be the start of 4 wonderful years for myself with him coming in and the club. But it was still a nerve-wracking. I think that John and Marcus will agree. There was still that pressure on us to get up because we hadn't done it the year before. You know, that squad the year before had expected to go straight back up. We were poor. So to get, you know, Brad was a key signing, but you know, these two lads here made a huge contribution. So, but I felt the pressure all through that season, right to that last game. The nerves, you know, we were expected to do it, and if we didn't do it, we would be cast as failures. So for me, it was still under pressure, and it was a tough division to get out of. And I've been lucky enough to get out of that division 3 or 4 times now with different clubs, and I know the lads have played in that division for a few years. Real tough division. So it was relief more than anything. But the signs we made, and with Graham at the helm, you didn't dare underperform, not with Graham in charge.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about 𝐒𝐿𝐻𝐻 a bit later. But John, I'm going to come to you. You came through that Manchester United academy, who are, of course, the dominant force in football at that time. You signed for Rovers in the summer of 2000. So what were your thoughts and views of the club when you joined and coming from United in the way you did?
Well, they were Premier League champions not so long before I signed. So, and they were very much a Premier League squad. So as Craig said, all of those players had played in the Premier League for the club, and the pressure was on. So, yeah, I agree with Shorty there that it was, you know, every game you were under pressure. Everybody wanted to beat you. And I look back, that was obviously the same at United. It was the same when I was at Forest as well, when we were in League One. So I kind of had that feeling as a player, and no more so than that season, because you know, we were a big scout.
Yeah, we were, and I remember that first season down in the old Division 1 after being relegated. We absolutely were a big scalp. So yeah. Marcus, just coming to you, we spoke earlier about the numbers of clubs that you've been at in your career, but I think I'm right in saying that Rovers and then Birmingham in 2009 are the only 2 where you've been part of a promotion side. I think I'm right in saying that. What's your memories of this campaign, and how does it compare to other seasons that you've been part of, and including that Birmingham one as well?
At that point, I was up and coming. So it was, again, like I said, when I joined Blackburn, the likes of Craig and Craig Hignett, Nathan Blake, Mark Hughes, Brad Friedel, Alan Mahon got signed when I got signed. Again, scored my first goal at Turf Moor with Alan Mahon. So I go down in history in a sense. But we were a scout to be beaten. Literally everyone wanted to beat us. Again, I had to learn from the best and learn with the best and train with the best. So I kind of I just went with it. I was raw. Graham Souness was a great manager for me. He taught me the basics, how to play as a Premiership striker. I didn't play, we wasn't in the Premiership at that point, but he taught me the basics and how to go forward and become someone to go forward. I mean, I left Blackburn after our promotion, and Graham called me in and said, we have to sell you because we want to bring Andy Cole in. I begged and pleaded that I wanted to stay. But again, Graham Souness, as Shorty's just said, was a great manager for us at that point. He steered us in the right direction. He got us, he didn't get us to promotion, but he brought in the right players and he talked to you in the right way. I mean, he was an angry man at times, but a great manager. So it was a great time for me and a great place to be at that with those players too.
Yeah, and the manager was going to be my next questions, actually. So thank you for segueing nicely into that one, Marcus. I'm going to come to John first in a moment. So a big part of Rovers' success in those early 2000s was down to Graham Souness. We got the promotion to the Premier League. We won the League Cup the season after, and then a 6th place finish the season after that, and European qualifications. So some real good moments for Rovers. John, you played under Sir Alex Ferguson, who is one of, if not the best manager of all time. What was it like coming to Rovers and then playing under Souness? You know, were there any similarities? You know, what was that style like?
Well, Graham was a winner, or is a winner. You know, he wanted to win in training. I remember me having an argument with him in training when I applauded. Matty scored a goal one day in training. I said, "Great goal, mate." And it was against our team in training. The gaffer was on my team. He said, "That's your problem. You're too soft." And I'm like, you know, he wanted to win. If he rained tiddlywinks, he'd want to win. You know, so he had that winning streak for him. Listen, different to Sir Alex. You know, Sir Alex ticks all the boxes. You know, I think what you have to give Graham credit for is that he inherited a squad with a lot of players who were kind of an old generation, signed by another manager, like Shorty said there, and you know, people like big Ashley Ward and Blakey, these guys, and Jeff Kenner at the time as well. These guys had been there, been successful for a period, unfortunately got relegated. So there was to manage the senior pros who were there at the time, and then bring in some new players like myself and Benty and others, and manage that transition and be able to improve like he did in that first season. I think that's a, you know, you got to say that's a difficult job to do, and he did it very, very well. So the way you handled that whole process was very smooth, because I think of that dressing room, guys, and I can't remember that kind of split in any way. You know, I've been in a lot worse dressing rooms than that. And you consider the different people that were different characters at different stages. You know, lads like Billy McKinley was still there, and you know, 𝐒𝐿 Ostenstad. I would say that he wasn't Souness's favourite. He was trying to push him out as well. You know, and 𝐒𝐿 still contributed. You know, he was still there and played an important role. So to manage that, I think, is very tough, and he did that very, very well. Yeah, listen, he was was he the best? I'm not so sure. He was. He liked himself a little bit too much, in my opinion, but maybe didn't have the humility that some of the great, like Sir Alex, had. He maybe lacked a little bit of that, but made up for it in many other ways.
Yeah, Michael Pearson picking up in the comments here. The dressing room was the perfect blend of experience and youthful exuberance. Such a talented squad packed with character. Absolutely, Michael. And Craig, I want to come to you next. So Souness came in towards the end of the previous season and perhaps had the chance to eyeball the squad that came 11th. What impression did he make on the squad when he first came in, and what did he bring to Rovers?
He didn't say a great deal that first few weeks or months he was there, but I remember the pre-season he said there was no option but to get promotion. I always remember him telling us that. He recruited very well. That was one of his strengths. All right, people would say he had the budget, but when he brought in Brad, I was thinking, we've got Alan Kelly, an international goalkeeper. We've got John Fineland, an international goalkeeper. Both lads who've had great careers and continue to go on to have good careers. And I just didn't get why he was signed Brad, but history tells you now that Brad became one of the world's best goalkeepers. You know, he didn't probably get the accolades he deserved playing for Rovers, but he was outstanding. So the recruitment was really, really good. And what John said there, where you have to manage the transition, I sort of came into a squad that had been relegated, and I was desperate to stay. I'd only been there a year, hadn't really performed well for Brian, so I was desperate to stay and desperate to prove myself. I think the first game was probably Fulham away. We got a 1-1. I played at the back with Darren Peacock. That was Darren's last game, I think. After that, he was done. Christian Daly was done, and I could see how ruthless he was going to be. So you had to really, really be on it. And and because he was like my sort of boyhood hero growing up, I wanted to be part of what they were building there, and fortunately I was, and I was pleased with the players that came in.
Yeah, and Marcus, I just want to come to you to talk about the youthful exuberance which has been picked up in the comments and what John just mentioned there. You were part of a really exciting attacking lineup for Rovers, and I just want to ask you about 3 really important players alongside yourself in that season: Damien Duff, David Dunn, and our top goal scorer, Matt Jansen. So I guess it's a couple of things really, Marcus. How good were those 3 at that level compared to what you've seen in your career at championship level? And how much did you enjoy the strike partnership with Matt Jansen?
I mean, listen, at that point, they were the best 3 in the division, if not up and coming to the Premiership. Dunny, Duffer, Matt Jansen. Matt Jansen with his left foot, I mean, awesome. Damien Duff, tricky winger. Dunny, just exuberant, just had abundance of talent, mature above his years. So to, again, being, I'm going to call it the 3, both of them, you've got them all lined up there. But I literally learned off them too. I mean, even Kurt coming from Man United, I looked up to him too, because he's been at a club where he's played alongside some great players too. But yeah, the Dunny and Duffer contribution, and Matt Jansen that season, top goal scorer, just brilliant. You can't say any more. If you look at that season, and just hence why people wanted to beat us, wanted to play against us. Like Craig said, the youngsters that came through, Alaman, that came through into that squad. I mean, we're forgetting about Tugai, we're forgetting about Craig Hignett. These are mature, experienced players that help the youngsters to perform week in, week out. And I remember the back end of the season, we went to QPR, if you remember, Shorty.
Yeah,
and, yeah, and I think we lost the last 3 games, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But I remember going to QPR and losing, and we were feeling under a lot of pressure to get promoted. But we ended up doing it at Preston, and it was a hard season. People wanted to beat us. People of teams, but the fans were all up against us. But we had the resilience, we had the strength, we had the numbers, and again, in the changing rooms, there was never anyone against each other. We were all together. We worked hard for each other, and we were honest and passionate about what we'd done.
Definitely. And before I move on to my next question, before we went live, Marcus, you told a really funny story about when you first signed for Rovers and a game against Bolton and what you observed. Just retell the story for the Rovers viewers.
Am I okay to say it? Shorty?
Is Craig, are you happy for it to be shared, Craig? Rovers, Rovers fans.
I think it was against Bolton. We were at home, and it was a corner there for Bolton, and Shorty was at the back stick. I was covering him, and looked around, and he was having a full-on fight with another player. I didn't know how to work it out or what to say if he needed help. There was blood streaming through his nose, but anyway, he's informed me that he lost that fight. So I probably should have helped him at that point.
It was Colin Hendry. It was Colin Hendry.
There we go. I was going to leave the viewers in suspense.
Yeah, me and Colin have spoken about it since. I think I saw Colin about 2 weeks later. It was just I was marking probably a little bit too aggressively. He didn't like it, so we had a little bit of. I think you turned around, Marcus, and caught probably the worst part of it. It was nothing.
I watched the full-blown 5 minutes of it, so I saw it all.
I've just told you earlier. I had my tooth done last week from that episode. He cracked a molar, so I've just had root canal surgery about 2 weeks ago because of that 20 years ago.
Oh, I love it. And I did tell Craig and Marcus before we came live that as a Rovers fan, very conflicted that Colin Hendry and Craig Short are fighting with each other. So let us know, Rovers fans, who you would have sided with. Who's your favourite, Craig Short or Colin Hendry? There we go.
He won the Premiership. Right, so.
We've got a question from Chris Hayes here. I'll maybe ask all three of you. So maybe if I start with John, then Marcus, then Craig. Do you think Matt Jansen would have had a good international career if it wasn't for that awful accident? So John, I'll start with you, then Marcus, then Craig.
Yeah, listen, I think it was really bad because he was hitting top form. He was just about to get selected, wasn't he, for the World Cup squad. He was there or thereabouts. So it's really tough. He definitely had the ability. He definitely had the confidence. He never lacked any confidence, Matty. So he was my roommate. So we got on very well. So I think he could have absolutely done a job. He was a natural goal scorer, a great finisher, like Benny said, with his left foot. He was absolutely lethal. Listen, why not? I was lucky enough to play with some of the lads who were around at that time. Venti will know, we played with Big Emil, who and Matty was obviously a different type of player, but every bit as good, in a different way. And Emil Heskey played a lot of times for England, so there's no reason why Matty couldn't have done the same.
Absolutely. Marcus, your views on Matty Jansen?
I've known Matty since he got signed from, not non-league, but lesser clubs. And Crystal Palace, played with him at Crystal Palace. He transitioned from Crystal Palace to Blackburn, international career too. I think at that point there was so many stars about: Alan Shearer, Michael Owen, Emil Heskey, etc., for Matty to get in front of those guys and succeed, in a sense, was hard. I mean, the accident came at the wrong time. He's a great player, amazing left foot. But again, like I say, at that time, I think there was so many talented and a long line of forwards in his place for him to actually get in there and actually cement a place for himself. So if the injury didn't happen, if it didn't happen, I don't know whether he would have succeeded. I'm not too sure, but he was a talented player, and I'm so sorry that the accident happened, because I think it affected everyone around him and his life too, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. And Craig, your view on Jansen, could he have had a good international career based on what you've seen from him?
I think sometimes you gauge it from players he played against, and I always remember him playing down at Highbury. I think we probably won down there or got a draw, and he played against Martin Keown, and he was on his own up front, and probably our first year back in the Prem, and he was outstanding in that game. And I think Marcus has mentioned his left foot, his ability with the ball. He was quick, he was powerful, he was strong as well. He rode tackles, but he was exceptional in the air as well. Like Marcus had a great spring. You could throw the ball to Yanni, and he would embarrass big defenders because he could come across. He had a great spring, real powerful legs, and like Marcus said, then there was so many ahead of him, but I think he would have got a run of games. And seen how and he wasn't, like John said there, he wasn't shy, he wasn't lacking in confidence. So once he got if he got a goal, you'd have known about it. But he had probably, he was quick but not lightning quick. But he did have that ability to hold the ball up and win the ball in the air. He was brave in the air. He had a great spring, and he could embarrass you. So I was very pleased when I played for Everton against Blackburn the year Blackburn went down, and we nearly went down, Everton, that he was on the bench that day. I remember them playing Ashley up front and Kev Davis, and all respect to them, I'd rather play against those two than Matt. And Matt, he was on the bench, and I was delighted. He came on towards the end, but we were winning by then. And I'll always remember, I didn't want to play against this young kid Jansen because I knew he was going to probably give me a hard time.
Brilliant. And then 4,000 Holes, which is a brilliant Blackburn Rovers fanzine, has just asked the question here. Are any of you guys still in touch with any others in the promotion squad now?
I've got a group chat, lad, set up, and I've been set up for a while now. It was in memory of Colin Lancaster, the masseur, who was our masseur at the ground, and he's a very, very popular man, former paratrooper and boxer. Bomber passed away a few years ago now, and we set up a little group chat for him. We just call it Bombers Group Chat. He was one of those people that every football club should have, and I know the lads will be very, very fond of him. And so I'll get the lads' number after and get them invited onto the group chat, because a lot of lads are still involved. And it was a special group of people for those years I was there. It really was.
Brilliant. Marcus, John, are you in contact with any of the
No, I mean, Shorty just spoke about Bomber. I mean, Bomber was, he was life and soul of the party. I mean, everyone respected him and loved him, still do. His smile, his charisma, his passion. If you were down, he'd always pat you on the back and help you up. I mean, he wasn't, he was getting on a little bit when I was there too. So, but he still put his work in, and like Shorty said, and the team that we had, not even just the first 11 or the squad, it was just about the whole thing about Blackburn at that point. The people behind the scenes, hence why we got promoted. So it's nice to hear about Bomber, actually, forgetting about certain people that help you and steer you onto where you should go. So yeah, sure, if you can give me your number or that
I'll do it,
link,
Marcus. I will get involved.
That's amazing.
Definitely. I spoke to Brad yesterday.
Oh, you did?
So obviously, being in America, I touch base with him now and again. So
where's he based?
He's just getting divorced. He's down in Florida at the minute, down in Miami.
Oh, okay.
So he's got his own agency called Promo Esports USA. So I speak to him a little bit about it.
He had to go at management, didn't he, John?
He got what?
He had to go at management over there.
He did, up at New England Revolution, yeah.
Right.
In the MLS, and I think that was it was a bad time to be at the club at that time, apparently. Yeah. So that didn't go well. Okay. But yeah, he left that and got into the agency side.
Right.
So I think he's doing all right at that.
Brilliant. And a lot of love for the three of you tonight. Evening, lads. 3 great players. Loved Benty. There we go. FM Works, who's a loyal viewer of our show. There we go. Thanks, FM, for tuning in tonight. So I'm just going to switch focus onto a lot of the good games in that season that we had, and there's some standout ones which I picked out. The 2 against Burnley, and of course the Preston game. But one that we'll just come to first is this one that Michael's picked out: the Great Night versus Bolton at the Reebok Stadium, 4-1 to Rovers. Marcus, we've got a question here from Phone Crew. What was that jig about when you scored away at Bolton?
I can't remember. I can't remember. Jig. What sort of jig was it? I don't know.
It might have been I think there was something like that going on, wasn't there, amongst everyone? Let us know, Phone Crew, the jig that you're talking about.
Yeah, maybe show me. I'm not too sure. I've done so many celebrations.
Dunny was always trying to get us to do some kind of dance or something.
Yeah, even Alan too. So I've no idea. Sorry.
No worries. Good question, Phone Crew. Let us know in the comments if you want to elaborate on that one. But as I say, the ones I want to talk about are the 3 that I said. The 2-0 victory away at Turf Moor, first and foremost, which was the first league derby in quite a while. John, you were part of matchday squads in some big games for Manchester United. Did the importance of this derby game surprise you? You know, how big it was, Rovers versus Burnley?
No, not really, because anybody who knows football up in the Northwest knows that that's a big game, big Lancashire derby like that. So, and I think the big thing was, like you said there, it had been so long. Burnley had been languishing in the lower divisions for so long that the 2 sides had never met. So that was what made it really special, I think. So we were on our way down, and kind of they were on their way up. So it was great opportunity, big game for the fans, because they probably spent. I mean, I don't know how long it had been. How long had it been since they played?
I think it was 2 years.
I need to have a look. Quite a few years, yeah, quite a few.
Decade, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Rovers fans, let us know in the comments. My research is I've not done one. How long was it?
I think it was that thing that they
team. I've been to so many. That's a different team. That one. That was Everton, Liverpool. Sorry, Burnley. I think because we hadn't been in the same league for a while. I think it was about 5 years. I think it was.
Yeah, massive game, a lot of expectation, and as soon as we saw that they were promoted, it was always going to be one of the fans, marking their cards for that one, setting the calendars.
Do you remember the tackle, Kevin Ball and David Dunn early on?
Yeah, 2 foot.
Yeah, it was like
It was a horrendous tackle.
You just never get away with it nowadays.
No,
he got a red, didn't he? I think did he get a red?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah. 1983, the previous time we played him in the league. So thank you, 4,000 holes. Thank you for that.
How long was that? 1983.
That's 17 years, isn't it?
Wow, there you go. Yeah. So
is that a league game, or had we drawn them in the cup before?
That's probably the cup game before. Yeah. So league fixture, 17 years, I think. Yeah, definitely.
Oh,
and Michael Sandbach just, I'm going to ask Craig this one because you're probably the most likely candidate, Craig. Michael Sandbach says, how close were you to sparking out Kevin Ball for that challenge on David Dunn?
I never played in that game. I played in the home fixture. I didn't play in the away fixture. So I remember it being on TV, and I remember the tackle. And I think Flitty, who was sort of David's protector, Gary was the first one onto it. I remember I thought, wow, he's got to go for that. And I know Kevin's for wholehearted player, but I think he knows, looking back, he overstepped the mark, and he could have really done David some serious damage. He was our star player, of course, so amongst a few stars, but David was our match winner. I think what was the score in that game?
2-0. Yeah,
2-0.
I'm gonna
2-0.
Yeah.
2-0 Rovers, and that gets me into my next question. Marcus, you got your first goal for Rovers in that game, and you went on to get another 7 league goals in that season. So do you remember the feeling of scoring in front of that packed away end to get that second goal in the game?
Again, I'm just trying to remember.
It was a header, if you need a reminder.
I remember the goal. And then Alan Mahon scored 2. So it was my first goal. Again, it goes down in history because we didn't play for so long, and it was a derby too. Did we feel the pressure? I think I probably felt the pressure at that point because it was my new club. I had to contribute. I had to show people what I was made of. And it was early on in the season, so we were attempting to get back into the Premiership. So we had to win and show people that we were good enough. And we managed to get the win. So, yeah, was I scared? Was I nervous? I don't do scared and nervous. I've only learnt what anxiety is after football now. Which used to be butterflies, but I've only just realised what anxiety is. So, yeah, I think it's good to have anxiety. It's good to have nerves. It's good to have pressure. It moves you on. It pushes you to be the best you can be. So, yeah, that game was amazing game. I think it was a full capacity too. Cold night, I remember. Changing rooms.
You weren't playing in that game. You weren't allowed to go. So I didn't play in the game. And I wasn't allowed to go to the game. I had to watch it on TV because it was that.
Yeah, you had to watch it on TV. Yeah. So it was cold. It was a night game. It was a night game, and yeah, we came away with a win, which was good.
Well, Steve pointing out here, Marcus, that Mark Hughes missed a sitter before Marcus clinched it. So there you go. We love that goal from you, Marcus. So that was good.
Listen, Mark's a legend, and I love him to bits. So I remember asking him about buying a house when I got into the changing rooms. And he said, do you want a pool, indoor pool or outdoor pool? And all the lads laughed at me. So, yeah, Mark Hughes, love it.
Brilliant. We're going to move away from the 2-0 victory at Turf Moor onto that famous and brilliant 5-0 victory for Rovers at home to Burnley in April. I've got to talk to Craig first because not only did he score in this game, he channeled his inner Damien Duff down that left wing to force that second goal, the own goal. Craig, 5-0 against your local rivals is fantastic on any occasion, but did this game give the players a real boost going into the final 10 games of the season and thinking, yeah, we're going to get promotion done?
I remember we'd been away in Dubai, and I remember that the pressure was really on us. So we were live on TV. We'd been sunning ourselves, even though it was a training camp. You know, we were sort of the club with a bit of money and sent stuff to Dubai for a week. I remember having a real good week over there, and I thought, we've got to win today. We can't lose this game. standing in the tunnel with a suntan and thinking if we get beaten, we're going to be really, really deserve a lot of criticism. Now, fortunately, we were 2-0 up at half time. I don't think there was anything in the first half at all. They had a goal disallowed just before half time. And then second half, I can remember I was a spectator second half. I think Higgy scored, Matty scored, did Marc play in that game as well. And I just remember I thought, God, we're a good side. That's the first time I really thought we got a chance, because the first 45 minutes, nothing in it. Yeah, all right, I got my goal, and then the own goal off Steve Davis when I had my run, but there was nothing in the game. And then second half, the lads in front of me, I can remember I've watched the game since, and I can remember we talk about doing kilometres in games, and a centre-back will do 9K in the game, 10K in the game. Right backs, well, Kurt wouldn't do 10K, he'd probably do about 8K. Henning kept him on a piece of string, covered him round. But, generally, but a second half, I must have done about 2K, because there was just nothing. I didn't have to do anything. The lads were so dominant in front of me. And it was one of those special days you always remember.
It was absolutely amazing. I'd absolutely loved that day and just loved the result. It was fantastic, a real good one. And Craig, we've had a comment here, David Crossley here. Are you still unhappy that you didn't get credited for the second goal?
It's funny because my wife worked up in the Northwest for a while, and people kept coming up to me and said, "What about your 2 goals against Burnley?" I said, "The first goal was a shot off Dunny, which hit me, went in. And the second goal, I had the run down the left wing, but I pulled it back, and Steve Davis, who I played with at Notts County in my early years, it went in off Steve. There's no way that could be credited to me. No way. I was just happy. The feeling before the game, I was just happy to win the game, because I felt so nervous that the pressure was on us, and I'm sure lads would have felt the same, because we were the big fish, and we had to win that game at home, and not just win it. We took them apart second half.
Yeah. Well, Michael says that you should have been given 2 goals just for that run on its own, Craig. So there you go. So it was a great one. And on a serious note, Chris, going into school after that 5-0 win was amazing. Yeah, absolutely was. You made us all feel on top of the world. So thank you to the 3 of you for playing your part in a brilliant win for Rovers that day. It was fantastic. So the final game that I want to talk about is the night that promotion was sealed away at Preston 20 years ago today, hence why we're doing the stream today. 20 years ago. Wow, mental. John, Rovers knew that they'd be promoted with that win against Preston. What was the mood in the squad going into the game, and how were you feeling personally about it?
I was knackered, absolutely shattered. I was goosed that season. Even in the cup, even in the cup games, I think we had replays in the cup games as well, didn't we, that year?
Yeah, we did.
I think we got to the quarter final of the FA Cup or something. Arsenal beat us, and then, but I think we had replays along the way, and I think I played virtually in every game. So by the time Preston, I was gone. So I was, so that's how I felt. So I was like, "Come on, we've got to get this over and done with. I don't know how more games I've got in the locker here." But yeah, another derby, So it was never going to be easy going to Preston. They were definitely not going to lay down. Fans wouldn't allow that. But it was. I think that was the day where, like Shorty said, if you think about our team that season, we had too many match winners. Shorty talked about Dunny, but Duffer could change a game and score and create. Obviously, Matty could do it. Benty could do it. Shorty could get one from the corner every now and again. We could score goals from everywhere. And that day it happened. It was, we relied on.
We had goal scorers on the bench too.
Say that again.
And we had goal scorers on the bench too.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Packed. Massive, yeah.
Packed. Higgy. I don't know how many Higgy scored that season. Real creative goal scorers. We just had so many of them. It was like we said earlier before the interview started, it was a relief, a big relief more than anything, like Shorty said, to get promoted. But great occasion, such a good occasion, fantastic to do it in rivals turf like that, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it definitely was. It was a great atmosphere. And Marcus, you did start the game on the bench that night, and it was 0-0 at half time, and Rovers struggling to make that breakthrough. So do you remember being sat on the bench and thinking, what's going on here? Could you sense nervousness? Were you eager to get on? You know, how were you feeling?
Oh, always eager to get on, always wanted to start. I think, like I said, we had goals within the squad, within the team, regardless of you were starting, you travelled, or Matty scored to take us up, I think. Did Flitty score too? I'm not too sure, but
yeah, it's just Jansen.
Was
just
it
a 1-0 Jansen?
Yeah. He was going to take the header, wasn't he? He was just about to head it in, and Matty was in front.
Yeah. Just watching there, yeah, and that's Matty there. So again, being a derby, winning in against them to take us up. I'm just looking at the pictures. I mean, the squad, the team, the morale, the coaches, the love, just takes you back. Sometimes you forget about these scenarios, these situations, these occasions. So it's nice to look back. But it was like John just said, it was an occasion afterwards. I think we had a few too many to drink on the bus and at the hotel. But yeah, it was a good time, brilliant time.
It was, and Craig, we'll talk about all the post-match festivities in a moment, but I do just want to do a fairly serious one at the moment. It was your header down for Matt Jansen that he pounced on, and Gary Flitcroft wore a famous T-shirt that night saying, "Jack, this is for you." Jack obviously passed away. Jack Walker passed away at the start of the season, and I'm assuming you got to see him in your time at the club prior to this promotion season. So how much did the players like yourself, like Gary Flitcroft wearing that T-shirt, how much did you drive the squad on to do this for Jack? Or did the players just feel that automatically? You know, did you carry any weight to ultimately do it for Jack?
Well, I met Jack a couple of times when he always had a tradition of meeting new signings. So I had a photograph with Jack when I first signed for the club. Didn't perform my first season, so you feel guilty. And then when Jack sacked Brian, he came down to the training ground and gave us all a bit of a dressing down, which is well deserved. Now, Gary was close to Jack because he'd been there longer, club captain, and Gary went to his funeral. So I remember the day we got the news he'd passed away. We knew he wasn't very well. And Gary, he was good. He was one of the best skippers I've had, Gary. I think the lads will agree. He drove us on, and he was always planning to do something. And I didn't know about the T-shirt until he revealed it at the end. But Jack had, took a lot of credit for the team that won the Premiership in 94, 95, so did a lot for the club and the town. And I was indebted to him, because if it wasn't for Jack, I suppose I wouldn't have got the chance to play such a great club and have such an enjoyable 4 years. But that night was, like Lad said, it was such a nerve-wracking night. John Macken turned me in the 88th minute and hit the post. Now, if that goes in, we have to go to Gillingham and get a result. And there's no way I wanted to go to Gillingham and try and get results. No way I wanted to be in the playoffs. No. So just to see Matty head that in, it was just a huge relief. And at the end, I think even Marc Hughes said at the end how drained he was from a championship season. I think it's probably Mark's first year in the championship. Shows what a good career he had.
Just said there, I think it wasn't just physical, it was like mentally just exhausting. Because
John, I remember you never missed a game, John, and it was 2 games a week. And you just don't, you get the international breaks in the Premiership, you've got big squads, you probably play 25 games. John, you'd have played 50 games that season, Kurt.
Yeah.
That's just to get that the mental fatigue of trying to make yourself be up for every game when you know every team wants to beat you, and knowing that you have to get up. We couldn't fail again. We'd failed the year before. So that was what I felt. And I was playing left of a 3 that day. We played 3 at the back, I think. I played left of a 3. I don't know why I was playing left of a 3. Good job I had good players around me. I'll tell you what I forget to mention, Berkovic. I was in that team, wasn't he? Came and did
creativity.
Yeah,
I want to put him. We went to Grimsby away, and I thought, wow, he just ran the game. He ran the game.
Awesome.
And 2 guys came along as well, and it was just a pleasure. There was always an option. Every time I got the ball, there was always an option. Always an option. I think I was the only non-international player in that team. Every other lad had represented the country at any level, at some level.
Wow, that's a good stat. And yeah, just looking on the graphic, 𝐿𝐎𝐻 Gillespie was on there, obviously Northern Ireland.
yeah.
These are players you forget about, aren't they? They are.
He was my roomie.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he used to send me down to do the bets every time we went away freaking at a hotel.
Poor Keith. Well, hopefully he's on the road
racing again.
Oh dear. Just sticking with 𝒂𝐻 then. A couple of people have asked here, so phone crew again, how good was Berkovic, David Crossley? How good was 𝒂𝐻 as a player when he came into the club on loan that season? And should Rovers have made the move permanent? So, just any one of you, should we have signed him permanently? What were the views on Berkovic?
For me personally, I love the guy. Technically, him coming in gifted, quite small, not really any physical power, but technically just gifted. He can see a pass that certain players wouldn't see. The through ball that you'd make a run, he'd play it through to you. Like Shorty just said, it was easy for him to just give the ball to Berkovic and he could just relax, to be honest. And then you had Flitcroft supporting him on the defensive side. But Berkovic, technically, just awesome. Brilliant.
Shorty, looking back, I think it was very easy to be a centre forward in that squad. Do you know what I mean? If you think about all these attacking players, we just got exposed. That we just had to deal with it at the back, didn't we? If you think about it. Yeah. They take all the credit for this, scoring all the goals, all this creativity.
Are you moaning?
Let's be you at the back, sweating our balls off.
If we didn't take on Isle, we didn't do too badly getting Tuga, though, did we?
Do you know what, Shorty? And to be honest, with Brad in goal, if you did make a mistake, Brad was just on point.
Yeah.
I think I scored past him that season. I scored past him. Gillingham at home. Own goal.
Well, I need to load up and make that. I need to do a little name check here. So Simon Wotton, who is a pupil wellbeing officer at BRFC Trust. He's a Gillingham fan, actually, John. And he did egg me on to ask a question to say, ask John about the goal he scored against Gillingham. So there you go. You've just name checked yourself. So Simon will be buzzing with that you've referenced that goal. And you didn't score for Rovers, did you, John, apart from that one own goal?
One own goal, yeah.
You've sold yourself out there. So Simon's going to be absolutely loving that.
That's because I had either Shorty or Henning Berg or someone, get alongside me here. Stay alongside me here.
Brilliant. And just on the topic of goals, again, 4,000 holes, just pointing out here, and I've just looked on the games, Watford, Bolton, West Brom, Birmingham. So that was a 1-0 win, a 4-1 win, a 1-0 win, and a 2-0 win. Marcus, you scored in those 4 consecutive games. So, you scored in the 1-0 win away at Watford and you scored in the 1-0 home win against West Brom and in those other games as well. So important goals in an important spring period there. So, yeah, everyone contributing into the squad, as you say there.
Is that the back? Is that a congratulations? Should I answer that? What is that?
We're just pointing that out, that you made a really we had options all over, when you're talking Jansen, Duff, Dunn, everyone contributing into that, and you had that little period, those 4 games, all those goals, everyone doing it. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out. 4,000 holes. I just want to do a bit of a quick fire round then, and someone's put it in the comments as well, so I'll give them the first dib on here. So I'm going to go around the 3 of you. Who was the best trainer in that squad and who was the worst trainer? So, John, I'll start with you. Best and worst trainers in that squad.
Sparky, 100% was the worst trainer.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah. He got the trophy. Worst trainer in the world. Yeah.
We used to have a joke that he had an invisible mate playing out on the left wing.
That's right, yeah.
Because, you bring the ball up to him. You know what Sparky was like? Back to goal. He's probably the best player in the world with his back to goal. He'd get it and then volley it straight out of play. But in a game, he'd volley it straight to the double or somebody out there, So he was absolutely terrible. Best trainer, bloody hell. I don't know about that one. That's a more difficult one. I'm trying to think.
I think Higgy was consistent.
Yeah.
He was always consistent.
Trainer, yeah.
Yeah.
Henning moaned his way through training. Henningberg moaned his way through training.
Yeah.
He just moaned forever, ain't he?
Yeah. I agree on Mark Hughes. I was told before he arrived that Gary Speed rang me and said, "Shorty, you won't believe how bad a trainer he is." I said, "No chance." And if Graham said the rules of 2-touch, Mark would take 3 touches. And I remember one day after consecutive terrible days from Mark in training, Steve Bjorneview stood next to me. And he said, "Shorty, what is this? This man is a legend." The training ground. But like John said, we turn up on a Saturday and do it.
Listen, I turned up. When I first signed, I turned up and I was driving into the training ground. And Sparky, with his overhead kick, is what he does best. He played the ball up, finished. Everyone had finished training. I'm driving up to the car park. Played the ball up and he done an overhead kick. I was like, oh my God, I've got to train with Mark Hughes. This is amazing. Like, what have I just seen? The next day I started training. He was the worst player, the worst thing I've ever seen. And he continued to be the worst player. Well, sorry, not the worst player, but worst trainer for the whole season. But
he tried hard. He tried hard.
But once you put him on the pitch, he literally he was a goal scorer, held the ball up. He was just brilliant, but a trainer, just rubbish.
Nah, you need players like him, don't you? If I think of someone like Kevin Phillips as well, who's helped out championship clubs, you just need that experienced pro in the squad, don't you? So a really important one. Who was the funniest in the squad? Who was the one doing the jokes? And have you got any funny ones you can tell us?
That will be Dunny.
There's a lot.
Any stories?
There was a lot.
Yeah, there was a lot. I think Dunny was the one.
Alamar was very funny.
Who?
David Dunn was cheeky.
Yeah.
Stories. God, there's so many.
Best.
It was one of those places to go every day where you just knew you're going to laugh all day.
Yeah,
you're going to laugh every day.
Yeah.
And everyone got on so well. It was, I've had some good dressing rooms, but that was the best dressing room, and it was unique. And Keith Gillespie he's a bright lad. Keith was a funny lad.
Yeah.
And the things Keith did in those days, you wouldn't get away with today. The best possible.
And when you say it was unique, what was it about that, Craig, that made it unique, do you think? And what are the things that stood out to you,
Well, I'm in football now and I see a lot of lads are on the phones all the time. We had phones then, but we socialised. We got together. We had Gary was a good captain. He wanted us to get, I think part of our success was our team spirit. We still keep in touch now, a lot of the lads. And then I had 6 years at the club eventually, but those early years were the base for so many good times, And we had some bad times, of course, but I think one of the lads mentioned we got on with it. There was no friction in the dressing room. I can remember Graham having a go at 1 or 2 at times. We deserved it, but senior pros would pick up the younger lads if they weren't stepping. Like Dunny was one who could step out of line, and Flitty would pull him into line. But you had Mark Hughes there, who was another level from us, really, and of course Brad, who I saw some games what Brad played. We were away at Chelsea once, and I couldn't believe the performance Brad turned up with. We won, I think, 1-0 or 2-0, and it was down to Brad Friedel, and he never got the recognition really for that club. I thought he should have had if he'd been playing for a bigger club, and that's no respect to Blackburn, because the Spurs and he was outstanding, and must be in the top 10 for signings for the club, along with 𝒂𝐄𝐍 as well, of course. Yeah.
Absolutely revered by us Rovers fans. We love Friedel, we love 𝒂𝐄𝐍, so absolutely. Any other questions before we seek to wrap the show up? I just want to make sure everyone's got their view on this. I don't think there's any others. No, so I think we will seek to wrap this up if we can. Just very quickly, I'll just go around the 3 of you. John, I'll start with you. Have you seen much of Rovers this season? What have you made of Rovers? And, does it sadden you to see us down in the Championship the way we are?
Yeah, listen, I always keep an eye on, former clubs, how they're doing. Listen, unfortunately, because I'm in the States, I don't get to see a lot of Championship games. the Premier League games are broadcast really well over here, but the Championship games less so. But I'm on my app, I have Blackburn, Forest, and United on my kind of favourites, and I'm always keeping an eye out on what's going on. So it's not the best season, but fingers crossed, maybe next year. Yeah, the Championship's so tight.
Yeah,
anybody can win it. Anybody from really kind of mid-table upwards has always got a chance. If you put a good run together, you win 5 or 6 games on the bounce, and you can go a long way up the table. So hopefully next season bodes well.
Definitely. And Michael's just snuck in with a question here, so we'll get this one in just before we finish. What opposition player gave you the most hassle that season? Any one of you? Craig, maybe start with you. Was there a striker that was elbowing you or giving you the Colin Hendry treatment?
Well, it was John Macken that scared me at that last game, that Preston game, because as I always remember it, he received it into his feet, and I thought I'd read what he's going to do. I thought he was going to turn to his left. I tried to gamble. He turned the other way, and I thought this is a goal, and that's 1-1, and that's us going to Gillingham. So it just for the inches of the woodwork, we didn't want to go to Gillingham, did we, to try and get a result? So
no,
just
he was on fire for
So there was plenty of strikers that gave me problems. Don't worry about that. But I just always remember John turning me. I thought, oh no, 1-1, we have to go to Gillingham, and anything can happen. But fortunately, never happened. It wasn't Brad trying to get me out of trouble either. It was the post. So, yeah.
And Marcus, the other way around, you didn't strike me as a striker that got involved with that type of nonsense, but were there any centre-backs in that season or just in general in football that used to rub you up the wrong way?
Do you know what? No, I wasn't ever worried or scared of a defender. Probably overconfident is my word. As the guys as they know me, I'm just confident with everything I do. One player that touched me that season was when we went away to QPR, and it was Crouchy. He made his debut and literally ran rings around us. Do you remember that, Shorty?
Yeah, I went to head the ball from the first goal kick, and he jumped up and controlled his chest.
Yeah. He literally was on. He was on.
I've got problems. I've got serious problems here. And we got that was his debut, I think, Marcus, wasn't it?
It was his debut, and literally he was a painter and decorator, and he got signed by QPR. And that's no disrespect towards you, Shorty, but
no, I know he was
him for me. Coming to the back of the season that we were having, and having this player give us problems like that. Again, winning at Preston and didn't want to go away to Gillingham. We had these 3 or 4 games where we just had to literally get together, grasp it, and get our promotion. And once we did it, it was amazing. But Crouchy for me was the problem child for that season.
It was a special night as well. After the drink. A special night after a Preston game.
Louis Sarr as well from Fulham. He was on fire that season.
Oh yeah.
And I remember playing away at the Hawthorns. Jason Roberts was up front. I don't know if you played, Shorty. Henning was against him most of the time, but Jason Roberts, Henning's a very cerebral player. He was. He wouldn't out-muscle people. He'd outthink people. Very, very clever guy. And he tried to because I don't think he knew Jason Roberts. He hadn't seen him before.
Tried to fight him, didn't
he? And he tried to out-muscle Jason Roberts, and he couldn't.
Not going to happen.
I remember that day that was a bad day. I don't know if I think we might have got beat 1-0 down there. I can't remember.
Henning, like you said there, John, Henning wasn't the biggest. He never got beaten in the air. He wasn't the quickest, and he hardly ever got run because he was so clever up here. So clever.
I knew when he was playing, I just had to stand, 10 yards to his right, and I was in the perfect position.
Yeah.
You could take your position off him. You'd be golden. I remember Wes Morgan at Forest. I tried to take my position off Wes. I'll be all over the place.
Oh, brilliant. Well, we've reached the hour mark, and John in particular has got to go and do some coaching in New York City. So we will end the stream there. So I don't know about you guys, but I've really enjoyed reminiscing about this promotion season. And I feel just hugely honoured and privileged to have had the opportunity to speak to the three of you. So I can't thank you enough for joining me and the fellow Rovers fans, over on our comments and things. And thank you, the three of you, for joining us. Really, really good stuff. And Michael here, this has been great. Can tell it still means a lot to the three of you. Certainly does to us fans. They were great days. So thank you for sharing all of those stories that you've had. We'll get this stream wrapped up so John can go and do his coaching. The rest of us will go and watch Line of Duty, which starts in about an hour. So we're all getting buzzing and exciting for that. But just a few reminders before we finish, Rovers fans. Yesterday, we did announce that next season, we are going to be supporting the Sporting Minds UK charity, which I've just popped up a graphic there. Look out for quizzes, streams, competitions, signed giveaways as we really look to raise money for this really fantastic cause. And Marcus and I were chatting just before we came live. This is something that's very close to Marcus's heart as well, with some of the stuff that Marcus does. So look out for that next season. We'll be doing lots of stuff in support of Sporting Minds UK. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please hit that subscribe button. Please turn on all notifications using the bell symbol. And please give this video a big, big like. I've really enjoyed it tonight. Joe's going to be back tomorrow with his European scouting show as we look towards next season and who Rovers might be able to sign from Europe. So go and join him at 7 p.m. I'll say bye to John, bye to Marcus, bye to Craig. Thanks for joining us, and I'll leave you all with our sponsor messages from Blue Rose Capital and from 𝒑𝒆𝒔𝒆𝒔.com. See you later, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Shorty.
Cheers.
Shorty, you there?
Yeah.
The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 𝒑𝒆𝒔𝒆𝒔.com. They've got retro football from every era, with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.